Someone close to you is dying but hiding it from you, and the name of this sick person is. My beloved child, breathe and keep your eyes on these lines because what is about to unfold changes how you move, speak, and choose from this moment. Your heart already sensed tremors in the ground beneath your relationships, like footsteps you hear before the person appears. The veil lifts now in a slow, unstoppable way, and you will see what your spirit has been whispering for weeks. The first sign arrived as a heaviness in the room whenever this person entered, a gravity that made your chest feel full and your throat feel tight. They smiled with that brave curve that never quite reached their eyes, and your soul noticed the missing light. Tonight that noticing becomes language, and language becomes a door you can finally open. You felt it in cancelled plans and sudden fatigue wrapped in casual excuses, the kind that sound harmless but repeat like a pattern on a rug. Their steps grew softer, not because they wanted to be quiet, but because the body was asking them to conserve. They stood closer to walls and chairs as if those ordinary objects were secret guardians. There is a kindness in them that refuses to burden you, and that kindness became a mask that now sticks to their skin. They chose silence because they believed silence would protect your peace. They did not realize that silence can also starve the very love that would help them. Your spirit has been tracking the breadcrumbs in their words, counting the pauses between sentences and the way breath breaks at the corners. You saw the half-finished messages and the quick changes of topic whenever pain tried to climb into the conversation. You saved those moments in your memory like screenshots you did not want to look at but could not delete. This is not about punishment or karma or any dark ledger, because love does not keep records like that. This is about a body waving a small white flag while the soul tries to hold the banner of normal. A secret sits in their pocket like a stone they keep shifting from side to side. You already know whose energy I am pointing toward, even if your mind wants to run away from naming it. The face appears in your thoughts like a page that keeps turning back by itself. The name glows faintly at the edge of your tongue each time your phone lights up. They are close enough to hear your laugh from another room, close enough to borrow your charger without asking, close enough to understand your silences. They learned your calendar and your favorite snacks and your tender spots, and they protect you from small storms without announcing it. Now the storm is in them, and they have been hiding it like a contraband night inside a bright day. Watch for the pattern of small departures that do not look like departures at first. Watch for the way they return the conversation to you every time you try to check on them. Watch for the way their clothes hang differently and how their favorite perfume or cologne lingers on a sweater instead of on their skin. You may notice that they sit down before they begin long stories, though they used to tell those standing. You may notice that they take the stairs more slowly, counting each step with care. You may notice that they keep a water bottle nearby as if thirst has become a new language. They keep saying it is nothing, and nothing becomes a script they recite like a lullaby. They promise that rest will fix it, that a weekend will fix it, that a smile will fix it. They throw soft blankets over the shape of the truth, but the outline still shows. Your heart is the instrument that hears the off note, even when the song continues. Your intuition is the lantern that lights the hallway where they have been walking alone. Your compassion is the key you will carry to unlock the conversation at the right moment. Move gently and firmly, like a hand that both comforts and guides. Speak from the part of you that knows how to sit with pain without trying to decorate it. Let them see that you can hold the whole truth without breaking. Tell them you have space for every word that has been stuck behind their teeth. Tell them your love can survive the hardest weather and still set the table. Tell them no performance is needed in a home that has already chosen them. In the next 3 days, certain signals will cluster around you with unusual clarity. You will see their initial on a sign, a receipt, or a stranger's necklace when you least expect it. You will hear their favorite old song in a place where music should not be playing, and the timing will feel impossible to ignore. The name that rises is not an accusation, it is a bell. It rings gently at first, and then it rings with the volume of truth. When you hear it, you will stop scrolling, and your breath will lengthen with recognition. If the letters that float in your mind are the same ones that decorate their coffee mug or their notebook, do not push them away. If the syllables that move through your chest match the syllables you speak when you are joyful, listen. The name appears in the mirror of the day because the day has decided you are ready. This person does not want to be a burden, which is why they tried to become a secret. They do not realize that the burden is lighter when 2 hands lift it. You can be one of those hands, steady and warm and unafraid. Offer presence before you offer solutions, because presence changes the temperature of the room. Offer listening before you offer plans, because listening unclenches what fear grips. Offer truth before you offer optimism, because truth gives optimism a real floor to stand on. You may be tempted to blame yourself for not seeing sooner, but blame has no medicine in it. The past was a classroom you attended with the tools you had, and today gives you new tools. Kindness to yourself will make your kindness to them stronger. Your courage will not look like shouting, it will look like staying. Your strength will not look like fixing, it will look like witnessing and organizing the help they finally accept. Your love will not look like panic, it will look like rhythm at a time when everything else feels offbeat. Gather your circle with intention, and keep their privacy as if it were a delicate glass bowl. Bring the practical things that suffering always needs, like rides and meals and reminders and calendars. Invite laughter back into the house carefully, like a bird you coax to return to a branch. When fear tries to choreograph your steps, choose steadiness instead. When dread tries to script your mornings, choose discipline instead. When grief tries to forecast the end, choose the present moment where hands can still hold hands. If the night brings a sharper ache, turn on a soft lamp and read your favorite lines that make the air feel gentle. If the morning brings a cliff in your stomach, put both feet on the floor and name 5 ordinary blessings out loud. If the afternoon brings a wave, breathe in counts until the wave bows and recedes. Do not argue with their pride, because pride has been their armor through many old battles. Do not attack their silence, because silence is not the enemy is isolation. Do not threaten them with outcomes, because threat closes doors while tenderness opens them. You may feel the need to cry in the shower or in your car where the windows fog and no one asks why. You may feel the need to pray without words, letting your breath be the whole prayer. You may feel the need to write their name on a page and draw a circle around it, as if your ink could build a fence of light. Let the doctors hold what doctors hold, and let you hold what only you can hold. Let the appointments be kept and the instructions be followed with practical wisdom. Let love anchor the schedule so the schedule never becomes the master. When memories knock, open the door and sit with them on the floor. Spread the photographs of ordinary days and recognize how sacred ordinary days are. Promise each other that ordinary days will return, redesigned by what you learn together. The body speaks in whispers before it speaks in thunder, and you are arriving before the thunder. You are learning to read the low notes, the tiny signals, the small edits people make to hide a struggle. You are respecting their autonomy while assuring them they never need to hide from you again. Your touch can be a treaty that ends the war between pretending and telling the truth. Your voice can be a bridge that connects their fear to your safety. Your eyes can be a room where they remember what courage looks like. There will be a moment when the name finally steps into the light of your own mouth. Your tongue will carry it softly, as if carrying a candle through a draft. You will place the candle on the table and invite them to sit beside it. The name may begin with a letter that keeps appearing around you like a quiet echo. It may be the letter that marks their jacket, their keychain, or the corner of a framed photo on your shelf. When you say the name, say it with love that does not tremble. After the name is spoken, do not rush to fill the room with explanations. Allow silence to rest like a blanket over both of you. Let the truth take its first full breath in a home that welcomes it. If papers need signing, you will help steady the pen without taking away their choices. If medicine needs refilling, you will set reminders without turning their life into alarms. If rest needs protecting, you will guard the doorway like a gentle sentinel. There is a version of the future where this secret is no longer a secret, and love has new muscle. There is a version of the future where laughter returns, wiser and deeper and more grateful for itself. There is a version of the future where your bond is strong enough to carry what once felt uncarryable. You are not powerless, even when your hands feel empty. You are not late, even when the night feels almost spent. You are not alone, even when the house goes quiet and the lamp hums softly. If tears come while you hold their hand, let the tears be a blessing that waters the root of your connection. If hope feels fragile, place it between you like something precious that both of you protect. If fear tries to shout, lower your voice and make the room calmer than the fear. Make a list of small good things, and do them faithfully. Open windows for fresh air, water the plants, play the songs that make shoulders drop. Light a candle at dusk and declare that the light belongs in your home. Speak gratitude into the day for every moment you get to spend together. Speak strength into the morning for every step they will take. Speak rest into the night for every cell learning how to rise again. You will recognize, with a clarity that cannot be argued with, that love is not merely a feeling but a craft. You will learn the stitches that hold fabric under stress, and you will practice them patiently. You will become fluent in reassurance without denial. When the name appears again in your heart, let it be a reminder rather than a threat. Let it be a vow that you will not look away from the person it belongs to. Let it be a promise that your presence will not flicker. Your home will feel different as you rearrange life around what truly matters. Your calendar will serve love rather than demand it. Your priorities will become a relief, not a burden. If others come to help, welcome them and create order so help remains help. Assign the meals, the rides, the laundry, the late-night check-ins. Turn chaos into a plan that breathes. When you step outside, the sky will seem both higher and nearer. You will look at trees and see a courage that somehow resembles your own. You will notice the quiet heroism of bodies that keep waking up. This chapter does not erase old joys, it teaches you how to honor them. It does not forbid laughter, it shapes laughter into medicine. It does not cancel dreams, it introduces patience as their new guardian. Hold their name like a lily that opens even in shade. Hold their story like a river you refuse to dam. Hold their future like a room you keep sweeping clean. The secret has lost its sharpest edges now that love has touched it. The fear has lost its loudest megaphone now that truth has entered. The night has lost its most confusing corridors now that you carry a lamp. You are the person who keeps the atmosphere safe, even when circumstances shake. You are the person who steadies the cup when hands tremble. You are the person who remembers joy and invites it back at the right time. If a day arrives that asks for more courage than usual, place your hand over your heart and count to 10 with slow devotion. If an evening arrives that feels too quiet, read old messages aloud and let memory warm the air. If a morning arrives that feels kind, receive it as a promise collected from every prayer you never had words for. Now breathe, and see the name as you already know it. It sits in your chest like a familiar light that has finally been allowed to glow without fear. You will speak it gently, and when you do, healing will have a place to sit beside you. Stand next to this person not as a detective but as a sanctuary. Stand next to them not as a judge but as a shield. Stand next to them not as a rescuer but as a witness who organizes help. What begins with a whisper ends with a vow. What begins with a secret ends with a circle. What begins with fear ends with a steadiness that will astonish you later when you look back. Your life is about to deepen in the ways that matter most. Your love is about to prove itself in the small daily choices that build miracles. Your heart is about to become the safest room they know. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. My beloved child, the night listens when you whisper courage into it, and the night answers by softening its grip. The clock no longer frightens you because you have decided to fill its minutes with meaning. Every breath you take is a ribbon tying hope to the present moment. You begin marking small victories on a private calendar that only your heart can read. A good appetite becomes a sunrise, a steady walk becomes a parade, and a shared smile becomes a national holiday. You collect these wins like coins that will pay for brighter days. The room where fear used to sit now has a chair reserved for peace. You keep the window cracked so fresh air can stroll in and remind everyone to keep going. Even silence now feels like a friend who knows when to stay and when to move. You learn to savor the ordinary rituals that stitch a day together. Warm tea becomes a ceremony, folded clothes become a blessing, and clean sheets become a promise that rest is welcome here. Small things balance the scale against heavy news. Messages come from people who love you both, and you sort them with care. You keep the ones that carry steadiness and put aside the ones that carry panic. Only the voices that respect your new rhythm are invited to the table. Your steps through the house carry a quiet authority that does not need to announce itself. You move like a lighthouse that never argues with storms. If a wave rises, your light simply continues to spin. You discover new ways to speak without pushing. Your words are soft but not fragile, clear but never sharp. Honesty becomes a bridge that does not wobble under the weight of truth. On certain afternoons the past arrives and tries to sit too close. You greet it and let it talk until it begins to dissolve in the warmth of your listening. Memory learns it can visit without seizing the room. The person you love begins to trust your steadiness more than their old habit of hiding. They notice that your presence does not shrink in hard weather. They let you carry one bag while they carry the other, and together both bags feel lighter. You organize the week like a conductor guiding a gentle symphony. Appointments are notes, medications are beats, and rest is the silence that makes the music deeper. The melody is survival, and the harmony is love. When night knocks with its darker thoughts, you meet it on the porch with a candle. You tell the dark that light still pays rent in this house. The dark respects the lease and passes by without entering. You speak to the body with patience that sounds like a lullaby for cells. You remind it that repair is a slow craft and you are here for each stitch. The body answers with gratitude that glows in small improvements. You build a sanctuary of routines that cannot be easily broken. Hydration becomes a vow, movement becomes a prayer, and laughter becomes medicine that dissolves the bitterness of fear. These are not decorations but foundations that hold. Your phone buzzes with reminders that protect the future from being forgotten. The alarms are not alarms but gentle bells that keep promise with time. Each bell says keep going and each check mark says you did. You invite sunlight to paint the floor each morning like an artist you hired on purpose. Plants inch toward the window and teach quiet perseverance. The house itself learns to be a partner in healing. Some days feel heavy and that truth is allowed. You do not argue with reality, you companion it. Together you and reality figure out the next 10 minutes and then the 10 after that. You rediscover the power of doing one thing well at a time. A glass of water is a mission, a conversation is a garden, and a nap is a pilgrimage to where strength returns. Single tasks become sacred tasks. Your voice becomes the weather system that sets the tone. When you speak calmly, the room breathes. When you smile gently, the day agrees to try again. You craft boundaries that protect energy like a fence around a tender sprout. Boundaries are not walls against love, they are walls against chaos. Inside the fence, trust grows leafy and strong. New helpers arrive and you welcome them with clarity. You hand them simple lists that turn overwhelm into choreography. Everyone moves with shared purpose and no one steps on another's toes. You keep a notebook of glimmers so hope cannot pretend it was never here. A kind nurse's joke enters the archive, a perfect mango enters the archive, a rested morning enters the archive. When trouble gets loud, you open the book and let hope read its own receipts. The person you love begins to glow with a different kind of strength. It is not the old sprinting strength, it is the new enduring strength. It hums instead of shouts and it lasts longer than anyone expected. You allow yourself to be cared for as well, which turns the circle into a circle. A friend drops off soup, and you accept without apology. You sleep earlier than usual, and the next day thanks you for the decision. You and your loved one invent a code for hard moments. A hand squeeze means stay with me, a nod means I can handle this part, a shoulder touch means switch places. The code protects dignity while keeping closeness near. On certain mornings a fresh certainty opens like a curtain. You realize you are no longer fighting the ocean, you are learning its tides. With that shift, the shore arrives beneath your feet more often. You whisper blessings into the fabric of the day where no one can hear them but the day. The fabric holds those threads and quietly reinforces itself. Time notices the upgrade and begins to cooperate. You make room for joy that does not feel like betrayal. Joy sits at the table beside grief, and together they teach you balance. Neither one cancels the other when love is in charge. There is a moment when laughter returns without permission and you let it stay. It echoes down the hallway and reminds the house who it used to be. The walls seem to breathe deeper afterward. You prepare for choices by gathering clear information and steady counsel. Knowledge becomes a lantern rather than a hammer. Decisions are made from a place where fear does not get a vote. Your loved one watches the way you stand and takes courage from your posture. You watch the way they try and take courage from their effort. Courage multiplies in the quiet the way bread rises under a clean towel. You accept that progress is not a straight road but a braid. Two strands are hope and discipline, and the third strand is patience. Woven together, the braid does not snap. If the day backslides, you call it a detour rather than a defeat. You tighten the plan but not the love. You rest your forehead against theirs and count the seconds until the storm passes. Relief visits like a shy guest and you offer it the best chair. Gratitude brings a tray with fruit and water and places it in the center of the room. The afternoon light sits with all of you and says, "Stay a while." You look around and recognize the sanctuary you built with bare hands and steadfast choices. No one else can claim the credit for this steadiness. It is the architecture of your devotion and it holds. The name that once rattled your chest now settles like a lamp on a familiar table. It glows without drama and it guides without glare. You treat that glow like a companion rather than a headline. Nights grow kinder because rituals invite kindness. Warm showers, quiet music, and 5 slow breaths at the door to sleep become a ceremony you keep faithfully. Sleep learns your schedule and arrives on time. Mornings bring the first sip of a life that is finding its flavor again. You taste it and nod to yourself because the work is working. You step into the day with the dignity of someone who has met darkness and negotiated better terms. You look back over the path and see your footprints paired with theirs. Some stretches show you carrying more, other stretches show them leading you forward. The partnership is the miracle that never needed a spotlight. What was once hidden has become shared, and what was once unbearable has become carried. This is the math of love and you have learned to solve it daily. The result is a home that keeps choosing courage. You remind yourself that seasons change and you are allowed to change with them. You trade panic for practice, dread for design, and isolation for alliance. This exchange rate always favors the brave. Your future clears its throat and introduces itself again. It speaks in calendars that include joy, in plans that include rest, and in dreams that include both of you. The future bows to the work you have done. Now keep the light where you can see it and keep each other where you can feel it. Hold hands as often as possible so the body remembers it is not alone. Walk forward with the slow confidence of those who have survived the longest night. When the doorbell of tomorrow rings, open it with calm hands. Let the visitor see the house you have tended with such faithful care. Let the visitor know that love set the rules and the rules are kindness, clarity, and consistency. Your story is no longer an emergency but a testimony. Your days are no longer a blur but a craft. Your love is no longer a rumor but a landmark that others can navigate by. Stand tall in this new weather you helped create. Speak softly in this new room you built with patience. Live fully in this new chapter that begins with a steadier heartbeat. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. Your steadiness becomes the climate that protects brave choices. You do not rush the hours, you shape them with gentle hands and clear intention. The hours respond by opening small doors that were locked yesterday. You create a simple altar of comfort that includes water, warmth, and words that do not sting. The altar is not about drama, it is about dignity. Dignity strengthens the body like a quiet command. You begin labeling drawers so nothing becomes a hunt. You place the most used things within easy reach so energy is saved for healing. The house becomes a partner rather than an obstacle. You pause more often and discover that pausing is not weakness. Pausing is the doorway where wisdom likes to stand. From that doorway you choose the next right action instead of 10 rushed ones. You practice telling the truth in sentences that land softly. You practice receiving truth without flinching. These practices turn two people into a dependable team. You gather stories from earlier years and braid them with the present. The braid holds because laughter and tenderness are strong fibers. The past stops haunting and starts helping. You keep track of medications like a gentle accountant of mercy. Each checkmark is a promise kept to a future evening that wants to feel lighter. You honor those checkmarks as tiny victories. You bring the sky indoors with fresh air and unhurried light. The sky teaches everyone to expand without noise. This expansion makes room for calm decisions. You prepare a small go bag for unexpected plans so panic never gets the lead role. The bag waits quietly like a friend who knows the route. Preparedness turns surprises into manageable chapters. You choose music that carries courage without shouting. The notes float through the rooms like soft scaffolding. Even silence sounds steadier after the song ends. You write a few sentences each night that capture what went well. These sentences become the path across rough ground on harder mornings. Reading them is like stepping on stones that do not sink. You accept help with grace, which invites more useful help to arrive. People love to be useful when their usefulness is respected. The circle of care strengthens at the edges and at the center. You take photos of ordinary moments so the mind has proof that goodness is active. A simple breakfast becomes a portrait of loyalty. A shared nap becomes a monument to trust. You establish a ritual for hard updates so they never explode into the day. The ritual is short, clear, and compassionate. Everyone breathes easier because information now has a safe place to land. You keep one corner of the house devoted to beauty for beauty's own sake. Flowers, a candle, a clean book, and a folded blanket stand guard there. Beauty reminds the nervous system that life still includes softness. You measure progress in comfort, connection, and clarity rather than only in numbers. This measurement respects the entire person. The entire person responds by relaxing into cooperation. You make space for tears without apologizing for them. Tears water courage and rinse the sharpness off fear. Afterward, the air tastes clean again. You choose words that bless effort rather than chase perfection. Effort shows up daily with its sleeves rolled. Perfection rarely visits when it is most needed. You protect sleep as if it were a valuable guest that must be treated well. No phone calls, no glowing screens, and no harsh conversations disturb the guest. Sleep repays this hospitality with repair. You create a gentle morning ramp instead of a morning cliff. Water, breath, and a short list replace chaos, worry, and 10 alarms. The day joins you instead of dragging you. You listen to your own body and give it what it asks for without guilt. A stretch, a snack, a sit down, or a short walk becomes lawful self-respect. Self-respect multiplies the care you can offer others. You name your fears so they cannot bark from the dark. Named fears shrink to their true size. Truth takes up the rest of the space. You carry a small notebook for sudden thoughts that might help later. Writing them down frees the mind from constant vigilance. The mind thanks you by becoming creative again. You keep boundaries around conversations that steal energy. Not every opinion earns a chair in this room. The chairs are reserved for voices that build, steady, and heal. You allow tenderness to be strong enough to say no. A clear no protects 1,000 precious yes. Those yes nourish everything you are defending. You hold the name that once trembled in your chest like a steady candle. The flame no longer flickers at every draft. The candle now lights the way without demanding attention. You practice small joys like a musician practices scales. A favorite dessert, a warm towel, a phone call with someone kind, and a slow walk become reliable notes. The music of the day becomes playable again. You plan tiny celebrations for milestones others might miss. The first full laugh of the week receives applause. The first easy breath of the morning receives a toast with water. You keep a list of questions you no longer need to answer and place it in a drawer you seldom open. That drawer represents release. Release returns energy to the present where it can work. You stay loyal to clarity even when emotions surge. Clarity does not argue, it organizes. Organization is love wearing boots. You invite quiet hobbies that steady hands and slow hearts. Puzzles, light sketches, gentle cooking, and planting small herbs become therapy without a clinic. These rituals make time stretch helpfully. You memorize the feel of their hand today so you can always find it. That memory will exist alongside all the new memories you are building. Together they will outnumber the hard ones. You refuse to let the future bully the present. The present holds enough tasks to keep you noble. Nobility in small tasks is a crown that fits anyone who serves love. You teach the house a new language where comfort is law. Blankets speak, chairs listen, and doorways breathe. The law is obeyed because it is kind. You believe in the power of finishing small things. Dishes, notes, and laundry conclude with quiet satisfaction. Completion builds momentum that carries the heart forward. You agree with life whenever it offers mercy. Mercy arrives disguised as a neighbor's casserole, a nurse's patience, or a midday nap. Agreement with mercy invites more mercy. You accept that some days will be mostly about holding the line. Holding the line is honorable work. Honor leaves a glow that is visible even in dim rooms. You repeat the sentences that have proven true. We are safe. We are together. We are moving. You trust that love counts slow and never miscounts. Slow counting wins in long seasons. The season respects this patience and softens its edges. You see that the secret no longer controls the temperature of the house. Love now sets the thermostat. The setting is warm enough for healing and cool enough for rest. You carry forward with a posture that says continue. Continue choosing presence. Continue choosing gentleness. Continue choosing the next right thing. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contribution